So, with that, I'd now like to invite Wayne O'Connor to join me on stage, and we're going to talk about some of the work that's going on about exactly that. So, Wayne, please have a seat and join me. Wayne's definition of casual Friday is a tie that matches the color of my socks, maybe? I don't know. Yeah, Wayne can increase the class of attire of any room that he walks into. So Wayne is, as I said earlier, is the president and CEO of Nova Scotia Power. Wayne joined Emera in 2003. Wayne, if I have that right, has many roles, including the president and chief operating officer of Emera Energy, and then executive vice president of business development and strategy for Emera Inc., and of course now into his current role that he's been in since October. And I think with that, we're going to start with a short video.
Nova Scotia Power has a history of innovation. We've been around for over 100 years. Our Elmsdale project is about integrating more renewables into the grid.
Battery storage is one of the important ways that we'll be able to get cleaner power. When the wind blows, we're storing some of that energy in the battery.
We're looking to partner with towns, municipalities to deliver community solar to customers. We also want to have batteries in homes and businesses. This gives our customers a role in the clean energy transition. We're going to be almost 60% clean energy in 2020, working towards 100%.
Using battery storage at a utility level is a new area, and we're one of the first to do it.
Making Nova Scotia a better place to live is why I get out of bed every day, and that's what it's all about.
Awesome video. It's a tough one to follow.
I agree.
Before I get into my prepared remarks, I'd just like to say a thank you to the employees of Nova Scotia Power. So this time yesterday, we had some big wins here in the province, which lasted throughout the day and into the evening. And at the peak of the storm, we had about 40,000 customers without power here in the province. So the team, both in the field and in customer operations, had to scramble and deal with that. So thank you on behalf of the company for all that you've done. Thank you on behalf of customers as well. It's greatly appreciated. Also, thank you to our main employees who had a similar experience as the storm passed through there. So thank you to all of you. I would also like to thank our customers who had to, unfortunately, bear with hours and in some cases overnight without power. So I bring this up not only to thank our employees for this, but it does tie into what we're going to talk about next, which is some of the innovative projects that we're undertaking here at Nova Scotia Power to change the future and to make the future better for us and for our customers. So before I jump into it, I just wanted to pause and say thank you for the efforts.
Thank you.
So as Scott has mentioned, we have a lot to be proud of here in Nova Scotia. We're a leader in Canada in carbon reduction. We've been at this game now for 15 years or so, and that's a great accomplishment. As well, we're a leader in North America in wind. We have a lot of wind here on the system, and we've been able to do this all through the lens of affordability. It's a province that isn't wealthy. And I can proudly say we've been very considerate of affordability. So we've made this transition in a way that's very affordable for customers and sets us up very nicely, quite frankly, for the future. And of course, reliability is critical. So I just talked a little bit about reliability, but we're focused on how can we be more reliable in the future and what investments can we make that will improve that reliability so that it's even better. Because one thing is clear is customers rely heavily on electricity today. But as we think about a future that's decarbonized, they're going to rely on electricity a lot more. And I know from my own house, if power goes out and Netflix isn't available, it's a riot. So it's critical for us to be more reliable in the future as more and more of our customers use electricity and it becomes more and more important to their homes, to their businesses. So as Scott mentioned, we've been doing a lot of work in the 3 Ds, and we're now going to talk a little bit more about that. In the video, you saw how important batteries are in the future, and the future is right now today. So we're using it in what we call an intelligent feeder project, and that was at Elmsdale. So it's a project that has customers' homes with some batteries in it, and at the substation some batteries. And the really cool thing about that investment is it allows us to improve the reliability of those customers and in that area. So in the storm Dorian that came through, customers there didn't have their power out, even though that area was without power for about a day. So those are the kind of investments we're looking to make more in the future, improve reliability, and improve their service levels. So we're really excited about that. That's a small project, but we'd like to see those kind of feeders throughout the province, and our customers, quite frankly, would like to see those types of investments throughout the province. So we're very excited about the opportunity that that's going to bring us. And technology is an important piece as well, as Scott mentioned. So we're investing heavily in what's called smart meters. So the smart meters will be a benefit to the utility, allow us to get a lot of information about how our customers are using electricity, when they're using electricity, what parts of their homes are using electricity. Do they have a solar PV? Do they have an electric car? And as importantly, it's going to allow customers to get a lot more insight into how they use electricity and how might they do that more effectively and efficiently and save money. So we're really excited about that. We have about 75,000 smart meters installed now, and we're going to work hard to get the rest of them in the next year. And as well, this is all really important because as we look to drive out carbon in the economy, we're going to see more and more electrification right across the province. So that's going to mean electrification of vehicles. So we're going to see a lot more EVs in the coming years. And we're also going to see a lot more businesses and customers that use oil to heat their homes and run their businesses move to electricity. So this is part of the reason we're so excited about the intelligent feeder. It's going to help facilitate a lot of those investments.
So when you think about the sort of battery technology, and of course that continues to advance and develop, but how do you see that playing a role in sort of the modernized grid of the future?
Great question, Scott, and I didn't anticipate that one. So before I talk about the grid of the future, if I could, I'll talk a little bit about the grid today. So the grid today was designed for a different world, a world where we have large generation stations, largely coal here in Nova Scotia, in Cape Breton, that move that electricity into towns and cities across the province, and largely here into Halifax, where about 50% of the population live. The grid of the future is going to look completely different than that. We need to modernize it. We're going to see less and less of those big generating facilities and more small generation units all across the province. So we have to respond to that. So that's really what we're looking at and investing and preparing to do that. And the grid is starting to transform already. We've talked a bit about the work that's been done here in Nova Scotia. So in 2019, 30% of our generation was renewable. In 2020, it'll be about 40% as hydro comes in from Newfoundland and Labrador via the Maritime Link. And the year after that, we'll be close to 60%. So in many ways, the first 60% was the easy part. The next 40% is going to be really, really hard and really, really challenging. And quite frankly, there's no jurisdiction that's doing it. So we're going to have to be innovative on how we do that. We're going to have to be considerate of costs, and we're going to have to look at new ways to invest and do that. So a part of what we're doing is a smart grid investment. So that's going to be critical to the next phase, and how we're going to get from 60% renewables to 80 or 90, or eventually, if possible, to 100%. So a pilot project that we have that we're participating in right now is part of a larger project in the Maritimes in partnership with New Brunswick and Siemens. They're doing some of it, but I'll focus on the piece that we're doing here in Nova Scotia. It's about a $20 million investment that's going to see a smart grid deployed here in Nova Scotia. It's going to have a few components to the investment. So we're going to have a solar garden. So Scott mentioned that. That'll just be a small solar installation that we'll build that customers can participate in. They don't have to have solar panels on the roof, but they can be part of that. We're going to put batteries into businesses and rooftop solar. We're also going to have 200 batteries in customers' homes or businesses and 200 smart EV chargers. Those smart chargers allow us to time the charging of the car and draw electricity from them. So we're really excited about that because that is the next wave of investment that is necessary to take us to a higher level of renewables.
So after the last clip, I'm thinking maybe I should ask you a question you aren't expecting?
No,
so I won't do that.
You can if you'd like.
What are you hoping that the potential benefits of that project are going to be, Wayne, and what are you hoping to learn from all of that?
Yeah, I get really jazzed up about, it's a bit weird, I guess, getting jazzed up about smart grids. But I get excited because really I do think this is the future for our industry and certainly the future for Nova Scotia Power, is how do we as a utility transform into this new world? How do we help customers get there more quickly and more affordably? And this diagram, I love it because it's simple, and I understand simple. But at the center of it, it has the energy system platform, which is really the brain of the smart grid. And that's the critical piece. The brain will help to coordinate all of those pieces that are on the outside of the smart grid. So we have batteries, we have the solar garden, we have electric vehicles. So that brain will make sure that all of those pieces fit together, that they're coordinated, and they're done so in a way that's efficient and economical for customers. So we're a part of this. And what it means, for instance, if you think about electric cars, there's 200 of them that will be connected to this smart grid. What we don't want is all 200 of them showing up at the same time to charge, particularly if it's the coldest night of the year here in Nova Scotia and there's no sun shining and there's not much wind blowing. So that brain will make sure that that doesn't happen. It will coordinate the charging of those batteries with the time that makes sense for the grid. It'll make sure that the grid's more efficient and more reliable. So really, the things we're going to learn from here are going to be critical for the future of Nova Scotia, the future of our utility, and future of other utilities.
So let's talk a little bit more about that. I mean, first of all, it's exciting to me to stand back and think about, a company like Nova Scotia Power, that many would be surprised at innovations that Nova Scotia Power is in itself looking to test as part of its path to the new energy future. But as you think about the work that you're doing, how do you see that applying to other Emera companies?
Yeah, I think it's directly applicable to particularly the other electric utilities, but I think all of our other utilities. So right now we're sharing a lot of information back and forth on smart meters. So what's the best way to use smart meters? How can we take the data, utilize that more effectively? So we'll do exactly the same thing with smart grid, Scott. We'll be talking to all of our utility partners to make sure they understand what we're learning from it so that they can take those learnings and apply them themselves. As well, there'll be many learnings around things like reliability. How does it improve reliability? How can it help customers integrate their resources into the system? So there's going to be plenty of learnings across all of the utilities. And I think one of the things we know for sure is that when we act together, that's when we get the most power out of the organization. So I'm really excited about sharing all of this.
Well said. Well, so thank you for that. It is exciting. I'm excited too. Thank you to you, Wayne, and the entire team at NSPI who's involved in and driving these projects. Exciting to hear about the things that are helping to drive our strategy and advancing our place in this changing energy landscape.